Productions.
Bonnie, a career criminal, is known by other criminals as being very tough. Police officer makes a false statement saying that Bonnie is actually very nice and would never hurt anyone. This false statement causes Bonnie to be held up to scorn, ridicule, and contempt by other criminals. Because criminals are not right-thinking members of society, this element is not met in a defamation action.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. Then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
This feels like the right music. Welcome, everybody. This is Tyler Yonke, LPR. I think finally we're getting everything going in here. Let's. The chat's all working, all three platforms. And did you like the stinger? Let's try that again.
Top Lobster Productions.
All right, that's we're doing a whole new thing. Welcome, everybody. Yes, Pseudo Snark was the first one in. Tonight, I've been pretty excited about this. We're going to talk some stuff that I know about, right? Civil lawsuits. And the taint stuff, taint. Someone said taint in there. Need motivation to prep for the MPRE. By the way, the MPRE sucks. Let me just tell you about the MPRE. It's the, what is it? The model rules of responsibility and ethics type of thing for lawyers. You got to take. You should take it in. We got to pass it to be a member of the bar, but you usually take it in law school. So our buddy over here is going to be taking it. I took a professional responsibility class. It was all, it's ethics stuff. It's pretty easy. And the test is pretty simple, right? So I took it, I don't know, maybe my 1L first year, didn't pass. And I was like, oh shit. Cause I think I took it in the summer after the first year. And I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't good. And then you're moving along doing something. And I took it again. And I swear, I think I had to take it. Finally, I'm just like, I got to study for this thing. It's super easy, but I just kept thinking, oh yeah, it's all this stuff, I studied it, and then you smash it out of the park. It's not a big problem. So as long as you're studying for that kind of stuff, it shouldn't be an issue. I hope everyone's doing good out there. Everyone hear me? Everything's going good? Okay. So we're going to talk law here. But we're going to do it in a fun way. If you don't know who the Tates are, we're going to talk about the Tates a little bit and go through a few, and they have a lawsuit. Now there's multiple lawsuits out there. And if you watched last week, we talked about, what was his name? Miss Patriot. We talked about Miss Patriot and, because the fit part's silent. Other people have other names for him, but he was coming after people saying he's going to do a lawsuit. He's going to do, and it's like, dude, you don't have reasons to, and I think we're going to talk specifically about why I think he's mentally, it's my opinion that he's not quite all there mentally. Okay. And so I would be concerned that he would bring a lawsuit, but the problem is if he's going to do that, and he's going to get an attorney, there's certain provisions and certain defenses that you can have that are specifically for people who like him. And I even think Tates have a problem here of trying to squash your speech. Now, do you have First Amendment rights for public just for making comments out there, when the government doesn't? Actually, the New York Times V. Sullivan kind of stepped into it with the public people. Okay. So we'll walk through there's what's called elements in civil stuff here in civil law. And we'll walk through those things and you have to check your boxes. This one's good. So the taints out there, well, who exactly are they? So there's a few things here. Okay. I already posted this online. Let's not worry about that. First thing I wanted to get here. Okay, this has been going around the internet. So let's play this first. Okay, who's in the wrong here? Now, you guys all know I'm a cyclist. So I think I am specifically qualified to talk about this. Okay, this is a guy on a bike. Let's watch this. I can't put down the cup. Bam, hits this car. Okay. So you're like, who's in the wrong? Well, there's multiple things here. First of all, I could take a look at this bike. There's a few things you notice. It's one, what we call a fixie. Okay, it's a fixed gear. Now the reason it's, you know, are they hobos or are they hipsters? Well, hipsters use them, so do hobos. But the how these bikes came about, it's fixed gear. There's no freewheel in there. You try to stop pedaling, the cranks are going to go around because it's a direct drivetrain. Okay. These bikes were specifically designed for track riding. If you ever watch the Olympics, you see guys going around in what's called the velodrome. That's what it is. Okay, and we used to use these for training. You know, early season, you'd get out there, you ride them, it'd help your spin. Okay, your good pedaling stroke. This is what it was really geared for. Stupid. I got rid of doing that. Anyway, he's got one of these, which means he doesn't actually have brakes on this bike. Okay, you don't see any brakes on this bike. You don't see gears, none of that. And second of all, or third, because first was brakes, one was gears, but he's also hippie or hopo or hipster or whatever. He's also riding on the sidewalk. I mean, this dude, and then see, look, right here, normal person with brakes. So what he's got to do is actually try to backpedal or push so the brakes are actually the slowing the bike down. That's what you'd have to try to do. But he can't do it here, and he's trying hard. He's trying hard, and then he hits the car. So he had plenty of time to avoid this car. One, the car is totally not in the wrong because he's riding a bike. He's supposed to be on the road. He's on the sidewalk. This guy's a complete piece of shit. And there you go. Did you say grounds? I think so. So what you're saying is he's an asshole for riding in public with no brakes. Well, you got to be aware of what's going to happen. You know, you don't have brakes in your car. What are you going to do? I don't know if that's street legal. That's all I'm saying. So a lot of problems you hear, and they all go with the bike. There's nothing, and I think it's a cowboy Mexican that's driving this. That's my interpretation, okay, of what this person driving this truck. There's no way that this truck driver is at all in the wrong. This is a stupid video for even posting it up. And as a cyclist, an attorney, and someone who's ridden my bike since I was 12 years old, hundreds of thousands of miles probably on the road over the years. This is completely stupid. Now I've been hit. I've been going on it like this, not on the sidewalk, and going down there, and all of a sudden the car just decides to turn in front of you. What are you gonna do? It was funny. So the car did that. It's been a long ride. I'm just drudging home. It's late in like on a Friday evening. I lived in Boulder, Colorado, and driving down there in a car just decides it's going to do a U-turn, and all of a sudden, the last minute, it's going to pull into this place, and I just T-boned in it, and I was so pissed, and I hit the hood super hard, and the hood just went dented, and I was like, oh shit. Anyway, I was okay. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's keep going. Who are the taints? I'm going to call them taint all night. First of all, I thought this was just this is the kind of stuff that's out there, and maybe someone who works out can give me an idea. Like what I don't work out in. I don't know if those are Crocs or those. This is the Crocs. So is this even working out? I don't know what's going on. Who's filming him? Is he just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, super fast. This whole thing, and he's not looking anywhere. These guys are strange. I'm just throwing this out there. There you go. Oh, that's the. Oh, is that 3? Now, granted, I'm not going to. Okay, what's behind the back? Okay. Shrugs behind the back. Okay, 3. Okay. I don't know. Someone who works out, maybe tell me, is that useful? Is that not? It seems odd. And people are like, let's get to the legal stuff. I'm sorry, you got to know who you're talking about. And if you saw the clip originally, which are criminal people with criminal minds, this is what I actually think. You got a bunch of complete douchebags here. The people, the Tates filing their motion, but also the people that are going after him. You are not dealing with a lot of heavyweights. The problem being the Tates have more money than these people. Okay, so when that happens is you might be up shit creek here, at least some of those people. I thought I would take a look here. Let's go. Oh yeah. Maybe. Okay, so there's Andrew Tate. Okay, but no, not that one. Nope, that's not that one. Here we go. Is that it? Andrew Tate, Beetlejuice. I mean, come on. That's the same person, right? You're not, I mean, this is my opinion. I'm just, just my opinion. Okay. I'm sorry, people. So if you came here for some serious legal stuff, we're going to get to it. I thought I'd talk a little bit more. Let's play this clip here. This is, I don't know. I haven't even listened to this, by the way. But these are people talking about the lawsuit, I guess. So let's see what it is.
I'll say this right here, right now, and I don't care because I might still litigate them, and I'll still say this. I don't need a reason. You're going to have to defend yourself, regardless. That's the thing about the American legal system. You cannot ignore it. I don't care if it costs me $1 million to take $1,000 out of your bank. You're going to be in court twice a month for the rest of your human years. I don't care. I will sue you for any and every reason forever, and you're going to have to hire lawyers and turn up forever. I'll do that. I'm that guy. I'm petty, and I've got a lot of money and a lot of time. So it's not even
okay, that's not even English what he's using. I don't know what that accent is. So I want to say this. I had a mini trial today, domestic violence restraining order, and we won. I was defending, and it reminds me of this. And by the way, these kind of statements are going to be, there's so much out there of him making comments. It's going to be rough because he says a lot of things. And as an attorney, you're just like, okay, well, here you go. Well, this is one comment, right? Which is he says, and he's doing it to silence speech in a sense, right? And you're going to have to fight this, and I've got more money than you. And we'll talk about how that works on one of the defense mechanisms, but it makes you wonder, is he bringing this lawsuit to silence people or because he's actually defamed, okay? And that's kind of what my situation was even in trial today, which was this lady brings this against her baby daddy, and it's all about custody. It has nothing to do with abuse. The judge takes it to begin with. He had to go out. I'm trying to talk to her. She doesn't have an attorney, and she keeps showing me these things, and I go, "Where are you abused?" I don't. You're showing me a picture. I don't even know what this picture is. Is that person here to testify? No. Now, her IQ wasn't super high. So, but then at some point, I'm rolling my eyes. She's like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "This is just you're ridiculous." I said, "You're ridiculous." And then I was worried she was going to tattle on me, but she didn't remember that when we went back in. So anyway, this is part of the book. Let's get, I hate bicyclists. Well, Stacks Farmstead, fuck you. Can the truck sue him of course, it's his problem. Hello, cool kids. Can't air that stuff till June. Tyler, them's the rules. I don't know which part, the bike part or the other part. Okay. So let's get back. Let's finish this little
about
process,
guilty.
and then I'll talk
It's not about why. It's just about because I can. It's one of many, many things I was going to do. I'd buy the property next to his father's Airbnb and list it for free. I will bankrupt you. You don't understand the levels I will go to. I'm that guy. And the guy, and he, as soon as he could feel it, and he felt it because people turned up at his door. Once I had his address, I started putting, I didn't want to get banned from Twitter. Obviously, it happened in the end anyway. Yeah. But at first, I put his street name. Then I put his house number. And then when guys turned up at his house, I had to fly some friends of mine from Vegas to LA. Like, I had to spend money on this shit. This took time out of my life. When he looked out the window and saw the SUV, then he starts apologizing on the internet. Like, oh, bitch, welcome to the real world. Worlds have consequences. And it wasn't even hard for me to do. Richard, all I did was I sent some messages to a few private groups I'm in and said, look, cash prize, this guy needs to pay. That's all it was. It wasn't even difficult. And I still haven't even decided. I still might do it, Richard. You know what? I still might do it. I still might litigate him into the fucking ground.
Okay. So look, unclean hands, kind of what we talk about, which is he's suing for some of the things that he's claiming he's doing. I mean, he's just outright talking about it. Basically a conspiracy, sends people dot to dot. I don't know. This is kind of odd, but we're going to get into the lawsuit. We need to do that. So did I have any more clips I wanted to look at here? This is, no, these are just some of the people. We'll walk, maybe I'll move that one down the line. So what is defamation? It's got basic 5 elements. Multiple states are very similar. There's not a federal defamation claim. So they are doing it in state court, but and there's an interesting aspect to that. Which he claims, and we'll get to it, but he claims that he's stateless. He and his brother are stateless. Therefore, they don't have a domicile. And since they don't have a domicile, you can't remove it into federal court. You can do federal court for what's called diversity, multiple states, certain claims over a certain amount. Now he's claiming this is over 50,000. We'll see if it's more than that. And you've got all these little aspects. So he really wants Florida for some reason, which, you know, when you take a look back, and there's one big defense that happens, which is called anti-SLAPP. Now, a SLAPP lawsuit is basically what he's done. He's done a SLAPP lawsuit, a defamation suit. He added in one other element there, or one other cause of action. We'll talk about all that. SLAPP and anti-SLAPP, it's a strategic lawsuit against public policy, I think it is. Let me see if I actually have the actual, what it is. Here we go. Strategic lawsuits against public participation. Okay. And part of that is you can do what's called people use these, as he said here, I have more money than you. So an anti-SLAPP is a lawsuit you can do up front to try to protect yourself from these things. Okay, and we'll walk ourselves through this. So first I thought maybe we'd just talk about what defamation is. It's pretty simple. A claim of defamation requires the following 5 elements. 1, publication. So you just say it to someone. That publication doesn't necessarily be, if I just say this to Andrew myself, hey, I think you diddled a girl or whatever, underage, that's not it's to someone else other than the plaintiff. So it's got to be to someone else. Now, if someone else overhears me, and I didn't have an expectation of privacy, now I've published it, right? But there's republishing too, which is that person overhears this thing, says, going, now they could be somewhat liable as well. So you have a publication to one or more persons other than the plaintiff. Falsity, it's not true, okay? An actor must act with knowledge or reckless disregard as to the falsity of the matter concerning a public official, or at least negligently on a matter concerning a private person. So typically defamation was just a negligence standard. You couldn't act negligently about a statement, either, libel or slander. Okay, slander's the spoken, libel's written. So we've got all of this with Twitter going on, spaces, tweets and whatnot. So both of them, and it just has to be just one or the other. And anyway, so you've got, and it's just, those are either wrapped up in defamation. So a lot of these are just real easy but it used to be negligence. And then New York Times v. Sullivan came about and basically said, you have public participation. If you're a public figure, it's more than just negligence. It's actual malice. And actual malice is like a reckless disregard for the truth. Okay, and I'll read through their actual what that is. But that's a big part. So we'll go through this. Actual damages. That's another one. Statutory, and the statement must be defamatory. Okay. With that in mind. Do you have a publication? Yeah, I think we're there. We tweets, publication, there's Twitter Spaces, all that is, and we're going to walk through the actual lawsuit, but yes, you're going to have that. But keep these things in mind here, right? Falsity. So it's got to be false. So big defense is, well, it's true. And that's, and then there's either recklessness or negligence, right? Now, negligence, that's for a private person. Is Andrew Tate and his brothers, are they public people? Now, to be a public person, you've got to actually, what they consider thrusting yourself into a public issue of whatnot. Well, okay, anybody that you're here because you understand that you know who the Tates are, which means they're a public person, and the statements are made about their public persona. Okay, so everybody, there's not an issue there that I believe. It's easily found that that he's a public figure. He and his brother are public figures. And with that in mind, you've got to have actual malice. Now, I was listening to a Spaces last night, just briefly jumped in with some of the people that are in the lawsuit. And I don't know if the crayons person or whomever, and they're tripling, quadrupling down because in their mind, they believe what they said is true. So, was it even negligent? I don't know. We'll get to it. And you may look, part of this is going to have to be, then do they have to qualify and go through all this to determine, are the statements actually true? And you have to litigate all this other stuff? Possibly. I mean, and it's actually, there is somewhat of a standard of substantially true. It's not like completely every I is dotted and T is crossed. Substantially true is kind of the clear statement there. And actual damages, that might be a problem, okay? Because they've got to show damages. Now, there's two different types of of defamation. There's what's called defamation per se and defamation per quad. Okay, they don't call it per quad in their lawsuit. They just say, good old defamation. Defamation, it's just defamation per quad. You've got to show damages, okay, and that you are actually damaged. Remember, Alex Jones, as an example, they got a default judgment on that case, and then the whole case was about damages. Okay, that actually, once they got the default, they didn't even get to put up a defense for that, and then they had a whole and complete trial on his damages, on what they suspected that was. Okay, so that's likely what you're going to look at here. Okay, it was actually their damages, and it was how much money he made and all that stuff here. Okay, so are the Tates damaged? Okay, and that's also when you talk about Misfit, and he keeps talking about how he's going to sue and everything, and I'm like, all this stuff that's happening to you online, what you're gonna have to show damages. Okay, now that's defamation per quad. Defamation per se is on its face defamatory. The statement it is. Okay, and typical. Let's see if they even have here per se. Okay, so here you go. Examples of statements that fall under defamation per se include those that are that impute criminal conduct, allegations injurious to others in their trade, business, or profession, imputations of a loathsome disease, or imputations of unchastity of a woman. Okay, there you go. So the point there, and you don't have to show damages. Those are presumed to be defamation and with defamatory statements, and with that, you don't have to show damages. They presume damages, okay, on there. You're going to have to calculate what those are at some point, but you don't have to actually go and prove them. Okay, let's take a look here at some of you guys' comments. Smile and Be Happy says, Andrew Tate, the male version of Kardashian. Why is he famous? Famous for being famous. Yeah, I think so. I'm not a fan of him or these other people. So, Hubelson, I'm ashamed for the 427 dudes I've seen that act like exactly like Andrew Tate, but aren't world famous millionaires. Malice would be tough, but it's proving malice to be clear and convincing standard. He gonna have trouble meeting his burden. So here's what's interesting, and once we get into it, maybe we'll discuss that a little bit. He talks about a conspiracy, okay? And this conspiracy, with that, you're likely going to be able to start doing discovery of all these people's DMs, their messages back and forth, and that there may show, if he's able to even show that they're like, hey, maybe we say this about him, right? And because I don't know that malice isn't going to be if they're going to be able to prove this, malice might not be as difficult as you think, because these people hate him. I mean, as an example, that Misfit guy, he thinks that the fact that Tower Gang rated him, that they're all Tate people, right? They're all deranged, very much so. Hi, JC. Liberty Dad Media said, I'll be curious about your thoughts on the murdered by crayons person who seems excited about the lawsuit. He believes discovery and Tate's own words will work against him. Okay. Thank you for bringing this up. I had a conversation with someone you guys all know today. Hang on, let me see. I'm not going to give you any hints.
Top Lobster Productions.
Talking about these kind of things, right? And it's like, yeah, it would be fun, right? It would be fun to get discovery, to do all this, but you don't understand the problematic issues with just going to court, okay? Getting an attorney, the discovery, okay? Discovery is gonna go both directions. Discovery is a pain in the ass, okay? It is a lot of work, it's a lot of expense, and you've got to start digging up documents. It's not so much just like, hey, my attorney's gonna subpoena something, perhaps. You can propound discovery on the other party, require them to get, relevant documents, Maybe you don't want to, so you object. And then there's a meet and confer letter back and forth, and you've got to have a separate statement outlining what's not included. And then you do a motion to compel because they aren't. This is all just problematic, annoying, costly up the ass. Okay, something like this. Now, Andrew Tate, he's going to get a big law firm, and he's going to inundate. He's going to swamp these. I've had a problem with that word before. He's going to swamp these people with all kinds of discovery and whatnot. And they're going to try to go back at him. Okay, well, my point is, those people that are talking about relishing this, that doesn't make sense to me. And who wants to be sued? nothing is good here. Nothing is good with this. So you got to be careful when you file a lawsuit, and then you got to be careful what, the shit you're saying out there as well. So good question there. Okay, smile and be happy. Okay, the Ravens Watch says, how about to have his hands full? I think they'll try to come after TG. Okay, well, not who's they. These people. And Raven, I want to talk to you. I'll specifically mention this here in maybe this next step, which is defenses. And I'm doing all this here, and then we're going to read through the document itself. But I thought it would be important for us to all kind of understand this, okay? These things. And defenses to it are one, the truth, opinions, okay? Those are there. And then one of the big things you can do is what's called an anti-SLAPP. I just talked about that a little bit. But the premise of doing an anti-SLAPP lawsuit is the fact that you want to be able to, okay, Andrew Tate said, I have more money than, God type of thing, and I'm going to just flood these people. Okay, what the court doesn't want is that you have someone with so much money that they're just able to do this at impunity and just ransack everybody with basically shutting down speech, right? So they've come up with these anti-SLAPP suits, these strategic lawsuits against public, what was the last word? Public participation. There you go. Okay. And so what you do with an anti-SLAPP is, many states have these, like 30 or so different states. Texas has one. That's one aspect. And we'll talk about where these lawsuits might come. Florida has one. And matter of fact, in 2015, they expanded the ability of you to protect yourself with an anti-SLAPP lawsuit. It used to just be, you can file this anti-SLAPP. Someone files defamation against you, you file an anti-SLAPP, but you could only do it if it's a government entity doing it to you, because now your First Amendment rights are harmed, and so you want to be able to participate. They can't shut you down, and so that was it. However, in 2015, they expanded that to not just government entities, but persons, all persons. So, and many states are like this. California has a big one. If you remember Johnny Depp as an example, that was the defamation case. It was in Virginia. Now, there was publication that happened there. And so where's this venue? Where's the jurisdiction? Which court takes this case on? That's an important factor. But you can try to remove those or file motions saying that's not the proper venue. They tried to do that to move it to California, but they were unsuccessful. The reason Johnny Depp wanted to move it to California, I think it was Depp, because I think, or Amber Heard wanted to. I think Johnny Depp was the one that sued. Yes, he sued. And the reason she wanted to move it to California was because we have here in California very strong anti-SLAPP statutes, which you can get yourself out of this case immediately. Because what you have to do, when you file this anti-SLAPP, now the burden goes on the plaintiff. Okay, the plaintiff is then forced to show the court that there is a likelihood that they will succeed on the merits. They have to have their proof ready to go. So I imagine that the Tates, or the Taints, as you might want to say, have been ready to. They better have all their documents in row, because Florida has upped their anti-SLAPP statute to the point where that's what likely these people are going to do. And if they succeed, here's the problem. So if they succeed, they being the defendants, and they get this kicked out on anti-SLAPP, they have two things they get going for them. One, they usually get to collect all their attorney's fees for having to defend this. Now it's on the front end too, so it's very it's a way to stop the lawsuit without pre-discovery, and you can do pre-discovery perhaps with that, but without it going much further. So they save all their money and they get it back. Because instead of trying to get it back after the lawsuit's completely over, you get it back right up front, because they're not even going to succeed on the merits, and boom, there you go. Then you can do a slapback lawsuit, which is basically a lawsuit for bringing this, like a frivolous lawsuit, basically charge on the claim, and you could get your more back for that as well. So the Tates. Now, the problem with the anti-SLAPP is some parties, like perhaps the Tates, like to make you believe with their Bugattis and whatnot, that they have so much money that it doesn't matter. They're willing to file this, and the anti-SLAPP premise is not going to keep them from filing a lawsuit, okay? So that's where I think he's at there. Now, is that going to win the day? So you asked the question here, Raven, what about Tower Gang? Well, first of all, I think that a lot of it's opinion. Second of all, he's talking about with Misfit Patriot. Second of all, he lives in Texas. You got to figure out where this is going to be. Texas. Is that likely where he's going to do it? You guys are, some of you in Florida. These both have anti-SLAPP statutes. If he's going forward, I think there's a good chance of winning on the merits as far as the defense-wise right away. And so he would be a little crazy to do this. He's a little crazy. He might show up with a gun. Just throwing that out there as well. Okay. While Mr. Pfister scrolled down his bookmarks of evidence, he singled out Tower Gang in particular, saying, I know these guys are up to something. By the way, this is the most, and should we play that clip? Maybe we should do that one right now, which is the most disturbing part of Tower. Let's go right to it. There we go. I have it right here. Okay, so here he is. And by the way, he scrolls too fast.
I got enough bookmarks?
Well, let's see if I can find my own here.
To show all of the fucking bots that I'm being attacked with, all the harassment, freaking... This is insane, bro. Like, these freaking clowns, where are they? I don't even know. Yeah. These clowns right here.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm pretty sure that...
Someone's just rolling coal past him. Did you guys see that? Okay, so with his thing, the worst part about it is he thinks that I'm over the target, and it's just like, dude, you're just fun. Okay, you're that retarded dog that's fun to play with and whatnot. So, Jazz722 says it came in late. We'll say the Tate Beetlejuice comparison. He laughs. So good job on that. Thank you. I've had that comparison for years. Okay. JC says he thinks Tate started some smear campaign against him, and yes, exactly what it is. You guys are towering me. Sweet job. I love it. Still love you though. Okay. Damn it, JC. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into the lawsuit itself, get into it proper. Now, it's 61 pages. I don't plan on being here all night and reading this, but we'll go through some of it here and then kind of go to the highlight stuff. And by the way, I'm going to play this clip one more time, okay? Which is the people that are not in their right minds. Think about what Tate's doing out there. He loves to stir the pot. He loves to get in your face, agitate, dox you. But the people like Patriot and others, they're the same type of people. So when this guy, I found this clip today about defamation where you're like, oh, you're defaming me. It's like, isn't that, I don't know. Am I getting it wrong? Is Tate trying to say that he is better off with is his reputation better off with the defamation or not? I mean, and all these people. So I'm going to play this clip one more time. Think about it from the Tate and these people being criminals.
Bonnie, a career criminal, is known by other criminals as being very tough. Police officer makes a false statement saying that Bonnie is actually very nice and would never hurt anyone. This false statement causes Bonnie to be held up to scorn, ridicule, and contempt by other criminals. Because criminals are not right-thinking members of society, this element is not met in a defamation action.
Okay, so they're not right-thinking members of society. I think that's what Tate's, and I think it's the people he's going after. None of them are right-thinking members of society. Okay, let's look at the lawsuit right away. First thing, just noticed, it's in Florida. They have new, since 2015, like I said, anti-SLAPP statutes, so not sure the point, other than the Tates came in there. They have another lawsuit there. That's where they got there. That's where they say this is going to happen. And I think they have a good idea that it won't be removed for whatever reason. Okay, but here you go. Complaint for damages exceeding $50,000, and reason they put for $50,000. Most courts, there's a standard there where you call limited or unlimited. So a limited case is maybe 25 or 50, whatever the jurisdiction says the limit is, and anything over that. So it's different courts. Different courts have this civil unlimited or civil limited. This will be in the unlimited because it's exceeding $50,000. That's what the unlimited standard really is there. We don't have a case number, but I found this on the docket. One more thing I will say here about that Florida actually has, which is a notice statute. Okay, let me see if I can find this one here. I found this one today. About There we go. Maybe that'll be. Florida Statute 7701 requires that a plaintiff must serve notice on a defendant specifying what statements they allege to be false and defamatory at least 5 days before a defamation lawsuit is filed. So I couldn't find on the docket that they had done like a proof of that. Maybe they could submit that later, but that might be one thing. If he didn't do that, sometimes lawyers, we're filing stuff all the time. You don't think that you have to notice someone for a lawsuit. You just file it, get the endorsement, and then get them served. But that's not the way it is with defamation. So especially in Florida, there's a statute. There's another one. Each state is a little bit different. I know Texas has something. I looked into those two specifically, but here you go. So one, he better have noticed all these people, and here they are. Let's read them out. Plaintiffs Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate, plaintiffs, sued defendant John Doe, aka Crayon Murders, an individual, Jane Doe, aka The Real Susie Win One, an individual, Mary Doe, aka Avalon 1T, these gay names, an individual, Nathan Livingston, aka the Milk Bar TV. I got to do it in that voice because they all sound horrible. An individual, June Doe, aka Mad _about _sheep. An individual, Jack Doe, aka Gadget 44027447. God damn these people! I just read their. I hate them all. I hate all. I went through trying to find. I found all of them on Twitter last night. Not following a single one. Made me proud. James Doe, aka CS Skeptic, an individual. Annie Doe, Thoughts and Players. Oh God. An individual, Rose Doe, aka From the Brooks Inside. No vowels in there. An individual, Emily Doe, USA Mama or USA Ma Broad. Oh God. An individual, Matthew Jury, Mr. Jury. He's an attorney. That's a gay name for an attorney. I mean, that's his actual name, I guess. That's actually a pretty good name for an attorney. Eleanor K. Gayton, Eminem Doe, aka Miralamani, Lucy Brown, aka Lucy Marion Brown, and Zachary Bonifilio, aka Misfit or Misfist Patriot, collectively defendants, and would show unto the court as follows. Plaintiffs Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate are businessmen who have been residing in Romania for the past 10 years. Thus, plaintiffs are considered stateless for the purposes of federal removal jurisdiction. I talked about that just a little bit ago. You can remove a case into federal court. I don't know if you'd want to. A little bit different there in federal court. It's not you're going to get the feds. It's just the federal court's going to have it, and he wants a jury trial. Different judge, but the same laws apply basically, so it's not really an issue. And yeah, I don't know why you would necessarily remove it into federal court, but they're claiming they're stateless for that reason because they haven't lived in a certain state for last 6 months or so, whatever domicile residency requirements are. Defendant Jane Doe, I'm just going to read through all these ones. On information and belief, is a resident of Palm Beach County of Florida and is over 18. And is otherwise sui juris. Now, sui juris, I'm not going to keep saying that. It's basically they're emancipated. Okay, these are someone that's over 18 years old. That's what their point is. Avalon is not a resident of Florida, but has direct sexual postings into the state of Florida. So this is the problem. You need jurisdiction. The state of Florida needs to be able to reach out and grab these people to have jurisdiction over their person. And the fact is they're posting on Twitter, and you can read this, and the Tates read it in Florida when they came to Florida. So there you go. Now you can have under the long arm statute. So anyway, that person's not there. Murdered by crayons, is not a resident, but once again, over 18, stuff's read in Florida. Nathan Livingston, not a resident. June Doe, not a resident. So you're going to have some work for process servers to get all these people. Jack Doe, not a resident. Gadget Skeptic is not a resident. Thoughts and Players is not a resident of Florida. Rose, just me, I don't know who that is not a resident. Emily Doe, aka USA Mabrad, Sharon 36, is a resident of the state of Florida. So we've got two of those in there. Matthew Jury, a resident of the United Kingdom. Okay. And Eleanor Guyton is a resident of Virginia. Okay. Brown is not a resident of Florida. Okay. Zach is this resident of the state of Texas. He told us that because remember he was telling us what gang stalking was. Now, he's accused in here of being part of a gang, so to speak, which is this Tate Matrix. So he's doing exactly what he was saying the Tower Gang and all you affiliates were doing, which was gang stalking. Okay. So once again, this guy, unclean hands. No, he accuses you of all kinds of stuff. He's doing it and maybe worse. So this is, once again, this is just their pleading. This is the complaint. You assume all the facts in here are correct on the pleading, on the face. And, if they want to file a demur or whatnot on that, so be it. There's certain requirements we won't get into all those right now. Okay, so Zach is in here. Lucy Brown is not a resident. Okay, the majority of the defendants appear in publicly anonymously through various social media accounts, which is premeditated and an attempt to shield their liability and avoid the consequences of the conspiratorial plot to defame and harm the plaintiffs. Now, I don't really care or know if that's so much true. You can be anonymous online if you want. They do. He's going to try to find him. So be it. Okay. Jurisdiction and venue. Once again, I'm not going to read this whole thing. We're going to go through a few of these little aspects, a little bit about Tate's, then we're going to jump all the way down to the claims or the causes of action. This is a complaint for damages exceeding $50,000 for defamation. Defamation per se, commercial defamation, and civil conspiracy. The court has personal jurisdiction over the defendants, and venue is appropriate in this court as substantially all the events related to the causes of action herein occurred in Palm Beach County, Florida, or within the state of Florida, or were directed to such venue. Defendants directed this false statements to the state of Florida in a concerted and conspiratorial effort to influence the public opinion regarding a case filed by plaintiffs in Palm Beach, as well as ongoing cases in Romania and England. The conspirators call themselves Team Matrix. What a gay homos. That's my opinion. I just throwing that out there. The defamatory statements made by the defendants were assessed within the state of Florida. Okay, one or more defendants are physically located in the state of Florida. Okay, that's good for them. Here's what they do though. Most states have what's called like this. Under Florida's long-arm statute, section 48, spot 193, jurisdiction is proper based on the conspiracy between the defendants, as well as the defamatory postings that were accessed within the state of Florida and directed to the state of Florida to influence public opinion regarding another defamation case in Palm Beach County in Florida by the plaintiffs. So the Tates have another case going on there, and they're going to refer to that. All defendants have direct knowledge of the pending litigation in the Palm Beach County, Florida case, and directly and publicly spoke about the case, including making defamatory statements about the plaintiffs and their legal counsel in the Florida case. Long arm statute basically says, think about it this way. Trucking company, they're all in all these different states, but they're headquartered in Utah. But they have an accident out there in Colorado, and you want to sue them in Colorado, but they're like, hey, we're just having to be passing through. Okay, but you've availed yourself to that state. The problem, and that's a little bit more, like you've got to connect the dots, or maybe you're mailing something out and it goes to, 5 different states, and then someone else hands it over and it goes to a different state that you're not in, and that's not necessarily, that state doesn't necessarily get the long arm statute because you didn't necessarily avail yourself. Maybe you're only specific to those kind of states. However, Twitter is accessible in all 50, or as Obama once said, 57 states. So we're good to go. Florida's going to have the jurisdiction. And if these people happen to be in Florida, the 2 of them were there, they're going to get, served, presumably. The other parties, they're going to, if they step off the plane and they happen to be in Florida, now they're going to be served there as well. But you got to serve them. You got to serve them to get this case moving along. There we go. Did we miss anything here with they got Jew statutes? Yeah, they do. I got to change mine to something funnier now. You're talking about the show that keep Mr. Fist a name out of your mouth. Okay. HOA Karen is better than Team Matrix. Maybe so. Good call there. Okay, so I hope everyone's kind of getting the idea. Florida's going to be likely the state. You're not going to remove it from there. It's to another state. They're going to have jurisdiction. It's going to be fine, at least over 2 people, maybe more. Good luck getting your boy over there in the UK. That might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, statement of facts. We're going to go through a few of these. I don't know all the things. I just know that the Tates go online and they say all kinds of wild stuff, okay? People then say they're traffickers, of sex traffickers and whatnot, and there was the cases over there in Romania, I understand. There's a case up in Massachusetts for one of the defendants. Maybe or maybe it's not legit. I don't know. I saw it on the docket, so it looked pretty legit to me. Okay, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. Tristan's the younger one. Collectively, the Tate brothers are British-American brothers who are entrepreneurs, major social media influencers, and international businessmen that have resided in Romania for the last approximately 10 years. The Tate brothers' international presence can be attributed to their values and life experiences, which begin with their youth. They frequently are on the move from a young age, living in both the United States and the UK. Andrew Tate is a world champion kickboxer, social media influencer, investor, international businessman, and most importantly, a father. Okay. I didn't know he was a father. That's shocking. Tristan Tate is a European champion kickboxer, social media influencer, investor, international businessman, and most importantly, he's also a father. Okay. I wonder if it's the same mom. Alongside their distinct personal and business identities, the Tate brothers also share a collective business identity and reputation that includes both Andrew and Tristan Tate. Tate brothers consult, advise, generate income from various business ventures. Webcam. I don't know what they do actually. With revenue estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars. They are respected thought leaders. Oh, come on now. I mean, maybe. Are they? By the way, let me get to this real quick. There's a Netflix show called Adolescence, okay? And it's pretty good, but there's a little undertones of it that are ridiculous. One thing is it's a show, this 13-year-old, it starts with, and it's a one-shot type of thing. So it's like an hour long, and it's one shot. The camera's never turned off, no cuts, no edits for an hour. So that's acting-wise, it's impressive. It's in the UK, 13-year-old arrested for murdering a classmate, a girl. Okay. And she was a bully. Okay. She called him names. She called him an incel. And so then they're kind of they try to make this like it's Andrew Tate's fault. They mentioned the Tate brothers a few times in there. And now the UK is trying to force the schools to like play this for everybody because it's really important about masculinity. And it's like, okay, I saw it. I actually enjoyed it. And that's I get you tried to, do that at the end, but it's also like piece of shit girl who was really rude to this boy. Okay. So I don't know, maybe fuck around and find out type of thing. So anyway, Tates are obviously being attacked in multiple ways. And I don't know, but they're thought leaders though. But importantly, businessmen, fathers, business moguls, motivational speakers in multiple industries, highly successful businessmen, investors, individuals seeking upward mobility and financial independence invest in the Tate brothers, and they provide access to extensive international investment, business, and influencer markets. Okay, a lot of words there that don't really mean much to me. I don't even really know what that is. Sue Snark says, now that I think about all my experience began with my youth too. Okay, you guys talking, or is that to me? Tate brothers' capacity to work, provide advice, generate income, influence, market, secure new business, and maintain the developing existing business relationships hinges on their reputation, ability to bank, travel, and actively participate in the international marketplace. Their use of social media and travel is a distinguishing factor in their success. Unfortunately, their following, previously amassed across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, was wiped out due to the spurious false accusations underpinning the allegations in the complaint. Okay, so it says, unfortunately, their following, previously amassed across Twitter and all, were wiped out. Is that true? I thought he was on Twitter, Andrew, and he had millions of followers. I know he got kicked off there at one point, but was that because of these guys, or was it just maybe? There are a statute of limitations. You have to bring a case within a certain amount of years. I don't know what it is here in Florida for defamation. Typically, they're looking at 2 years for a lot of places. So maybe that's what they're saying. But, I think he's been back to Twitter for longer than that. They're wise investors who have increased their wealth through access to exclusive opportunities. I mean, this sounds like such boilerplate, namby-pamby. I don't even, they're not even describing anything. It's just a lot of words. They previously owned many asset classes. okay, including dozens of high-end luxury vehicles. All this is, but what, now they don't have them? However, seemingly unrelated, the common philosophy uniting all the Tate brothers' business is a goal towards self-improvement in every aspect of life. Okay. In Romania, compared to the Western and United States, Romania has a long been known to a traditional country with a rich cultural history, traditions, and Christian values, complying with the Tate brothers' convictions and worldviews. But I thought Andrew was a Muslim. Because of this, beginning in 2015, the Tate brothers became full-time residents of Romania due to their Christian values. Yeah. The Tate brothers first garnered press attention in 2008. Before becoming celebrity entrepreneurs, the Tate brothers separately distinguished themselves in successful careers as professional kickboxers. Okay, I don't really care about that. On a TV show called Shipwreck Island, appeared on a British TV show called Big Brother. The prominence, primarily young, leaning men, kickboxing, I don't, okay. There's a lot of accusations about him. They don't really go into that. Conspirators plot to defame. On April 13, 2024, Players hosted a space on X titled Exposing at VPNLFN Ben, the April 2024 space, where several co-conspirators discussed the depths of their ongoing conspiracy to intentionally, recklessly, and maliciously defame the Tate brothers. There you go. So they're trying to tie in those reckless disregard for, the truth, which is malicious, which is a malice standard. There you go. Several contributors admitted to having formed a group to maliciously defame the Tate brothers and turn public opinion against them. Okay, or like a Tower Gang type of thing, right? This group primarily includes the defendants in this case, whom they refer to as Team Matrix. Tower Gang's much cooler, I think, right? Hubbleson says, one positive thing I'll say about Tate is he has good kickboxing highlights. I've heard he's really good. And by the way, I'm not like, this is the thing. Remember when Misfit came on the radar just a few weeks ago from Clint? Clint's whole thing was, Piers Morgan asked me to go on his show and yell in defense of Tate brothers. He's like, I'm not interested. It's not the hill I'm going to die on. I mean, I like to have their voice. They're good with some things. I think he follows Clinton. He's like, I don't know that I'd defend him. I mean, that's his life to defend, right? You don't have to do that. I saw, by the way, side note here, this is kind of the other thing about defense and team stuff that people want you to be on, right? You can like some of the Tate stuff and not be a fan of theirs, or you can like Trump or not like Trump, and it doesn't mean that you have to like or dislike Tate's because of it, which some people think you have to do, or Israel, that type of thing. But I saw, the JFK files come out, and it's some people, I just knew this. I started to do, my show today was going to be about the downfall of Con Inc. Okay. And some of it is, Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro comes out and is like, I don't know. I'm not really not interested in stuff of the past. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you mean like, wait, which past are you looking at? The ADL is real concerned about 1913 and Leo Frank. They're real concerned about some stuff in the middle parts of the 1940s, 1930s. Not worried about the JFK thing. I was like, wait, are this liberty? No. So that's just stupid. And then Steven Crowder comes out and says just as dumb stuff like, oh, I don't know. It's like, come on, Israel's all over these JFK files. It doesn't mean that Israel did it, but you got to start going, you can't just ignore it. And then Myron comes out and, he goes hard against the Jews. And he's like, I really respect Steven Crowder. He's on Rumble, and I really respect that he's on Rumble, but this is a bad take. And I'm like, that's like me saying, person drives the same car I do. Since he drives the same car, I guess I got to respect him. And it's like, no, there's trash everywhere, right? You don't have to like someone that they have their same car or that they have a platform on Rumble. So these aren't thought leaders, people. Okay, totally sidetracked on that one. Okay, so Mr. Jury, during the 2024, it was said that Matthew Jury, an attorney and partner at McHugh Jury and Partners in the United Kingdom, directly emailed and communicated with members of Team Matrix, apparently providing them with informal guidance and support for their social media defamation campaign. Mr. Jury's informal guidance and support involves communicating with Team Matrix members in Florida. Thus, Mr. Jury has directly transmitted defamatory information into the state of Florida, committed acts, a tortious act within the state of Florida, and the communication is not within the scope of attorney-client privilege or other privilege. Now, let's talk about that real quick. Mr. Jury is an attorney, and he might claim that his communications are attorney-client privilege. But then, did you have an attorney-client relationship with Mr. Misfit, with all the people you were emailing? You know, I have communications with Tower Gang. Just sorry to break it to you, that not all of it. And by the way, if there's people in there that are not your client, you are then muddying up this attorney-client relationship and this privilege, okay? It's not privileged information if I'm having a conversation with my client and someone who's not my client is hanging around, unless they're like office staff type of thing or an expert that's working on the case. So I don't know, Mr. Jury might claim that. They said that outright. So it's more and more of this stuff, okay? And there's additional things all through here. So I'm going to skip down to the claims of each person and what they say that they did, and then we'll read the causes of action and go on from there. Hubbleson says, with a chin like his, you wouldn't think it. Yeah, okay. You really think DW is going broke? We got a lot of cash. They got a lot of cash flow. I don't know that Con Inc. is going broke. I think Con Inc. is losing some of its power, okay? And people are starting to notice this. You know, the horrible binder debacle, Jordan Peterson wearing crazy suits. He and his daughter, they're losing their minds out there. Jeremy Boring stepping down, but he's been just out of his mind as well, saying some of the most. Remember, he's just said the other day, this is the most it's devastating or drastic or most worst type of event in my lifetime. And I'm like, so I did the math, and he's younger than me, but let's say he's 50, right? Think of the last 50 years. 9/11, is it worse than Ian Carroll going on Joe Rogan? I mean, there's just so many other things, and these people are just off their rockers, okay? Steven Crowder, you know, he and his wife, you know, all this stuff. There's a lot going on out there where these people are just shown to be shysters, and they're losing. I think they're losing some of their power. Whether they're losing their grift, maybe that'll come at a later date. I don't know. Okay. A lot of this stuff you could read through this, but I did last night. I was just like, but I don't want to go through it all again here. A lot of examples of some of the stuff, and they need to do this. They need to set it all out, because what they have to, excuse me, you know, talking about trafficking. I mean, the Tates are going to have to come out and be able to defend all this stuff, all these comments that they've made specifically. And then, you know, there's lawsuits, and then there's claims of other people. And a lot of it is opinion. So that's going to be somewhat problematic. Okay. Defamatory statements made by Suzanne Winters. 1, forcing women to have your sons is called rape. Okay, that's weird. When Tate said he loves hitting women, he's not joking. Forcing women to have your sons is called rape. Could that be an opinion? Maybe. And he said when he's hitting women, he's not joking. Okay, I think that's an opinion. Imagine pain of finding your daughters aren't in college but were sex trafficked. The Tates made a point of isolating victims from their support systems. Okay, that's not really an opinion. That's stating facts. Imagine having to hide from your abuser in her bathroom. Probably another girl too scared to brainwash to come forward. I don't know I don't think that's a defamatory statement. I mean, it's just saying, imagine having to do that. Okay, well, put it in the context that the whole is, okay, maybe. Tristan is a quieter, more ruthless version of Andrew. His reputation for throwing women out of their homes, including his baby mama and child. I mean, I don't know. They're going to have a hard time. There's a lot of these kind of statements. I'm not going to read through all those. Murdered by crayons. The only defense the Tate brothers have is to lie and deceive. A judge did not rule that the victim was lying, and knew she was lying. Tate made the allegation and falsely claimed the judge said it. You're a fraud, coward, and compulsive liar, Tate. Okay, so those are actionable comments, I think. He said the rape charge was thrown out. This is false. He was charged with rape in continued form because there are 2 material acts, but there's 1 victim. Okay, so see, some of these is going to be somewhat easy to prove. Was it thrown out? Were there 2? Let's just take a look here. You need an act, which in this case would be recruitment. The brothers recruited the victims through various apps, such as Instagram, marriage apps, dating apps. You have additional acts on top of that. So can you prove that that's really how they, what if Tates are like, no, we didn't do it through apps. We did it, we got their phone number or something like that. Oh no, we we recruited them, and he had another way of recruiting it, which wasn't an app. This was not an app, people. They transported the victims from their homes countries to Romania. They harbored those victims in houses made for sex workers. So they had multiple acts. They have recruitment. They have transportation. They have harboring. They also have situations where they transferred those victims from one location to another, from one sex worker house to another sex worker house. Okay. Are these, I don't know. There's too much here. Murdered by Crayon's account has over 44,000 posts defaming. Oh my God. People, you've got to get a life. What's funny is after the Tower Gang thing, the first time, and Misfit was posting in there about how, this gang activity. And I said, I made some comment like, I said, gangbanging is legal in Texas. Just trying to play off of his words. And he comes back like, you guys need to touch grass. No, it was something. Oh, no. It was, I had made a comment about his debate and Jay Dyer. And he's like, you guys need to touch grass. You need to get out more and get off the internet. And I'm like, I mean, this person has 44,000 comments about the Tates. A pinned profile post with 28 million views. Damn. Okay. That's why he's the number one on the list, I guess. Avalon, 2 of the victims are seeking only €200,000 from 2 men who say repeatedly they are billionaires. A lot of this stuff. Let's just get down to Misfit, since he's our buddy. That's the one we know the best. He's all the way at the end. What were his statements? Particularly Sharon, she didn't have a lot. Just Me has a few. Matthew Jury, this is the attorney. Let's see what kind of stuff he says. She should know better. Today we gave a press conference in Romania to show solidarity with victims of Andrew Tate's alleged crimes from the U.S. and worldwide, and to highlight the campaign of harassment and intimidation they have recently been subjected to by Tate's lawyers and followers. I don't know that that's a defamatory statement. Following yesterday's press conference by the victims of Andrew Tate's alleged crimes, he said alleged, which was ambushed by. So there's privileges as well. So you can cite information from a legal proceeding, and it's not because there's a privilege, a legal privilege of litigation privilege, basically, where you can, because they want people to testify, and they, even if it's to lie on the stand, there's other recourses for perjury you can do, but defamation is not the vehicle that you get to do that. So you get to lie basically in court as far as defamation goes and get away with it that side. You don't get away with it for the perjury side, which is be more detrimental really than the defamation itself. So you can talk about stuff that was said in court, or you can, defame someone in court and you're okay with it. So is that what he's talking about here with the press conference? I don't know. But Mr. Jury said the word alleged, so we're going to have to go with that. Lucy Brown, she said 2 things. Shame on anyone still supporting these rapists. Okay, that could be defamatory. Andrew Tate is a rapist.com. It's a link to Matthew Jury's crowdfunding page. Oh, geez. I mean, that's rough. I mean, okay. You're going to get sued. And by the way, didn't Trump... He was suing George Stephanopoulos for claiming over and over that he was convicted of rape when he was found liable for sexual assault or something like that. It was a completely different standard, obviously, and they settled. So, if I guess Andrew's claim here would be, I've never been found guilty of rape. You could say I'm a rapist, but I haven't been. Can somebody convince Jasmina to come forward as a victim? So the Tate trafficked her ass is public news now. Okay. Here we go. Bonifilio. Just acknowledge this is a man beating the shit out of a 15-year-old girl who cannot consent to role play. This is, okay. So we saw Bonifilio. There's a charge that he assaulted a 60-year-old plus or disabled person. That's the statute there. Or, so we don't know if it was a 60-year-old person or if it was a disabled person. Allegedly. Okay, that's what it is. There's a criminal case out there for him, but he goes on here talking about this is why Tate prefers hitting women. Now I don't know if he hit a woman, or if it was a 60-year-old man or mentally disabled or handicapped man. I don't know. Nope. I'm going to talk about Tate a lot more. Honestly, way too much. He's a fucking pedophile pimp. Okay. These are so far. I'll say this. So far, Bonifilio, Misfit Patriot, is more precise in his defamatory statements than the others. He just comes right out, and you're like, yeah, that's not an opinion. That's a that could be a statement of that. Nope. Okay, we talked about. Although, yeah, he said he was a pedophile pimp. Don't complain about pedophile and sex trafficking because feminism is more important issue. Okay, is it? That's an opinion. That one is of an opinion. Pick your side and stay there. Without the people who apologize for sex trafficking pedophiles in it. Okay, I don't know what that's it. There are about 40 women who have given testimony against the Tates. Okay, that would be an actionable one if it was substantially untrue. Once again, if it's 30, you're like, okay, it's still a lot. If it's like 2, okay, perhaps. So I don't know how many have actually said it. You're going to go in the court and say, no, it's been 50. If you had 50, that fucker's lying. Okay, well, give me a break. Andrew Tate is on tape abusing a minor. And what if they're like, sorry, it's electronic. It's not tape. Who uses tape anymore? It's not tape. He's lying. Okay, that would be substantially true, though, if he was, even if it is digital. Pedophilia is pedophilia. Full stop. Apply this to Andrew Tate. Jesus. That's actionable. Sorry about clout chasing off the sex trafficking of children is where I get ick. But you clout chase all the time. Good morning to everyone who does not beat women and little girls. Now, did that mention Andrew Tate in there or Tristan Tate? No, but you can imply that, the certain statements, that was the Johnny Depp one too, which is, they weren't statements. She said it wasn't him. Okay. Are you sure it's Johnny Depp? Yeah, we were sure it was Johnny Depp you were referring to. Okay. All these statements made by Bonifilio were in the context of a video, space, or posting dedicated to Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. The comments intentionally and recklessly accused the Tates of several crimes, having victims of crimes maliciously defamed the Tate brothers, impugn their credibility. Okay. This is upon information and belief. Bonifilio has himself been arrested for assault and battery on a person more than 60 years old or disabled. Well done. I was worried they were going to get that wrong about the disabled, but that's an attorney doing their work. Bonifilio regularly posts on Team Matrix content by way of X. Okay. This go to the first cause of action. Defamation. Jane Doe. It's all the ones on here. The Tate brothers reallege and restate paragraphs 1 through 257 as though fully stated herein and allege that those facts as pleaded demonstrate that all these people, Zachary Bonifilio, are guilty of libel and slander against Andrew and Tristan Tate. Under Florida law, the following 4 elements must be met to satisfy a claim for defamation. The defendant published a false statement about the plaintiff to a third party. The falsity of the statement caused injury to the plaintiff. Okay, well, you're going to talk about what the injury is? Publication of a false statement. They list a bunch of there, okay? Numerous statements, all of them. Plaintiffs have filed a substantial lawsuit outlining a significant number of exculpatory statements, which shows their innocence, and that they have been maliciously defamed, and shows that some of the alleged victims, which defendants often refer to as conclusive victims, lied and have a significant history of false accusing people of crimes. Moreover, all other alleged victims designated in Romania have come forward by lawsuit, affidavit, or other sworn statement indicating that the Tate brothers have done nothing wrong to them to be designated as alleged victims. Despite this reality and the fact that the defendants had knowledge of Jane Doe's long history of lying and her propensity to lie by way of multiple lawsuits filed against her containing such information, defendants knowingly, intentionally, purposely, and with reckless disregard for the truth published false statements via various social media accounts, including XFKA, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. As of the day of this complaint was filed, the defendants are still trying to help turn people and harm the Tate. Yeah, they were. They were still doing that last night. Defendants have taken no steps to correct their intentional, reckless, and malicious statements intended to harm the plaintiffs. Now, you can send them, that's kind of this whole notice statute of, 5 days prior to, hey, retract it, cease and desist perhaps. Now, it's not going to turn back the defamation, but it could help mitigate your own damages. If you're like, I'm going to retract it through all the different channels that I had done, you can use that as your defense, and it would be helpful. But, assuming that they're going to do it. Injury to the plaintiffs as a direct consequence of the publication of the false statements, which, as shown above, were repeated at a minimum recklessly and vindictively to third parties. Tristan and Andrew Tate sustained serious personal, financial, and professional injuries. The publication of these false statements directly contributed to Tate's censorship on social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram. I don't know. I'm suspect on that. Of which Tate brothers have millions of followers, causing them to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. Are you going to say that, is that a percentage of their overall wealth? I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars can be something, but you just talked about up front how they're just the richest pieces of shit ever. So, in a percentage wise, like, if you only own, 10 grand in your account and you lose 8 of it, that's a significant drop. But, if you have 10 grand and you lose $10, I mean, percentage wise, it's really nothing, right? So I don't know what this hundreds of thousands of dollars compared, to your multi-millions. Does it mean much? Maybe, maybe not. And then, is that damage commiserate with what you're going to get out of this lawsuit? I don't know. By repeating, publishing. Okay. Second cause of action. Now this one's per se. We talked about what defamation per se is. That's on its face. It's a defamatory statement. Criminal acts. Got that. Lascivious behavior. You got that. Woman's chastity. That's not something that they've lascivious, or what's disease, I guess was the other one. 4 elements. Same idea, defamation, published statement about the plaintiff to a third party, a false statement caused injury. Border Collie Rescue v. Ryan case, they put here. Florida law recognizes per se cases of defamation under certain circumstances. Per se defamation presumes damages, and that's an important one because you don't have to then actually prove it. It's just saying, look, if you're going to say this shit, it's going to be presumed that there's damages associated. If one of the following is met: impugns a person's professional character or standing, states or implies that an unmarried person is unchaste, sexually active. I mean, but that's what they that's what they say all the time. I mean, that would be a hard one. States or implies that a person is infected with a sexually transmitted disease. I mean, states or implies that a person has committed a crime or of moral turpitude, theft, or fraud. So, crime of moral turpitude, theft, or fraud, but I mean, rape would probably mix yourself in there. So, I'm not going to read all this little bits about that, but yeah, you just know. We read a bunch of those earlier on. I mean, part of the Tate's problem is, though, it's like, how do you defame someone when they've talked about like, unchaste or, sexual relations or lascivious acts type of thing? It's like, how do you denigrate them more than they do themselves? That's a problem I might have with it. Okay. Did they basically just restate the same exact thing about their damages? Third cause of action. This one is the one that's interesting to me because you may get the anti-SLAPP, you may get the other issues thrown out, but now you've got this civil conspiracy. Tate brothers, civil conspiracy, reallege all the stuff. The action for civil conspiracy under Florida law, the following elements must be left for claim of civil conspiracy: a conspiracy between 2 or more parties to do an unlawful act or lawful act by unlawful means, doing an overt act in pursuance of conspiracy, and damage to the plaintiff as a result. Okay, so what's this act that they were planning to do? Conspiracy between 2 or more parties. So we obviously have that. They have the matrix, so we understand that. Additional acts in furtherance of the conspiracy, including creating anonymous online accounts and engaged in targeted campaigns. Okay. Defendants have had several public and secret meetings. Okay, so yes, they're trying to establish that there was a conspiracy. I don't doubt that at all. To do an unlawful act or doing some sort of overt act in pursuance of the conspiracy. I mean, some overt act. Defendants took an overt act in the furtherance of the conspiracy by outlining systematic plot to defame the Tate brothers. Is that an unlawful act, though? That's not an unlawful act. It's a civil act, but there's not a, there's not a right that you, well, I shouldn't say that. Now, if they were going to call the Tate brothers, names like anti-Semitic names, not calling them anti-Semitic, but being anti-Semitic to them, the IHRA statute might have been in here, because some states have adopted that and say it's against the law to actually against speech, but you don't have an unlawful act here. I don't think that's an unlawful act. What they have to defamation is not unlawful. Defendants took an honor act in furtherance of their conspiracy outlining a systematic plot to defame the Tate brothers, harm the Tate brothers financially or personally, and use the Tate brothers' fame to propel themselves to a financial windfalls by gaining a large following. Okay. Once again, this one I was saying, you get the other ones out of there by the anti-SLAPP statute, but you can still have parts of the case that's still involved that don't get kicked out for the defamation. But this relies on the defamation, and I don't know that it's... let's read the actual statute here. Let's see what this is. Conspiracy between two or more parties to do an unlawful act or to do a lawful act by unlawful means. Got it? So you're doing something illegal in furtherance of a lawful means, or legally working together to do something illegally. I don't see it. This one, bogus. I just say it, that's bogus. Commercial defamation. Now, this one might, once again, still plays on. It's the same idea, but now you're doing it against their business, okay? Let's see what these ones. Under the Florida law, 3 elements. Statement was false. The person making this statement intends for you to suffer financial loss, and business does suffer loss, resulting in actual damages. And the person making, okay, so they have a business. Their business is online. Not the cam girl stuff, but that's probably there too. But being, making money off of Twitter, off of Instagram, I guess so. Publications are false. Okay, so it's same the whole thing there. Okay, reservation of rights, demand for a jury trial, relief sought. Where plaintiffs Andrew and Tristan Tate pray for this court will enter judgment liability against the defendants, all of them. Damages including attorney's fees and costs whereby authorized by statute, pre and post judgment interest, and all other relief this court deems just and proper. Respectfully submitted this 18th day of March 2025. Just a few days ago. Not a certified copy. All right, let's see if is anybody left in here? We kick them all out. Really think, yeah, maybe you guys all left. Andrew Tate, George Stephanopoulos. I hope you got something out of that. So what do I think about this? Just from the initial side here. One, they're going to have trouble for a few things. One is this anti-SLAPP statute that Tates have to be prepared to present the evidence up front to show that the judge, they are likely to succeed on the merits. Okay. And if they're not, those cases get thrown out and Tates are paying their attorney's fees. The second one is the fact that, are these false statements? I mean, you've got some really bad people. Now, this is the whole thing where it's like, oh yeah, just because she's dressed like this and she's a whore doesn't mean she can't be raped. I get it. But the Tates have said almost worse. They've said worse things about what they do than I've ever said about them personally. But I try to stay out of the it's all alleged. So there's some opinion stuff here. So then it will be interesting to see how this goes down. Personally, it'll be fascinating. These guys, as DL said in here, these guys are excited about it, but they're idiots. Okay, these are idiots. Unless you have a ton of money yourself, maybe these guys are making millions of dollars as well, and they just want to throw several. I just was reading through like an anti-SLAPP one from a different state, and it was a little news blurb on it. And it was a business, and they won their anti-SLAPP. And you know how much they won? It was like $160,000. It's like, that's up front. That's like, they spent $160,000 already in attorney's fees up front. That's huge. And you can do that, okay? It's not cheap. And the Tates probably have, we should probably look at who their attorneys are. I don't know anything about them. Okay, so it doesn't say what. I guess it would have been maybe on the last page. We put it on our pleadings at the top and then sign it off. Thomas Mantios Esquire, Florida Bar, 1-1. Blue Lagoon Drive. Okay, well, there you are. It's Thomas Maniotis. I am listening and learning, taking notes. Good stuff there. Still watching and listening. Okay, guys, that's fine. If you have any questions, we can take some of those now. Let's see if I have anything in here else that we wanted to talk about. I talked about the long arm statute. Oh, let's do this. Let's walk through. I have little photos here. I took screenshots of these people's. Is this one? There we go. We'll do this. These are some of the people on Twitter. Okay, this person has 100 and so I guess this tweet right here, this pinned one, he said that had 28 million views on it. So this is Murdered by Crayons, citizen journalist investigating and debunking the web of lies surrounding the Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate legal saga while providing breaking case news. And see, this guy's obsessed. Yeah, very obsessed. Real Susan Winter, Jamaican, Italian, and the voice against human traffickers. Okay, well, she's gonna get sued now. A real celebration dance for Andrew Tate is in prison. Birds are singing. Okay, these people, like I said, they're really into this. Milk Bar TV, Nathan Livingston, freelance filmmaker, video or editor content. The Milk Bar TV at Gmail. Someone buy him a coffee. 77.9 followers. Let's see. This one was 2.1K. This one was 101, 2,000, 77,000. Okay. Mad About Sheep. Also sued. Always tell the truth, no matter how bitter that pill is to swallow. Well, I hope you did. I hope you didn't say anything false or reckless disregard. And by the way, that's the other issue, right? They're public figures. You're going to have to say it wasn't just negligence, okay? So, some of these like, oh, he said it was 40, but I only had 20. Okay, well, was that said in malice? You're going to have to prove that. Actual malice here. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate were intercepted by investigators. And these guys are all just dedicated. So I get this thing. And that guy had how many? 1.6. He's not that big account. Gadget. 16,000, almost 17,000. Exposing Andrew Tate and the War Room. Long COVID and POTS. Okay. Common Sense Skeptic, an award-winning YouTube channel reminding people how important critical thinking skills are at a time when some common sense and logic is desperately needed. 13.8K followers, followed by John Cena. So am I. I'm followed by John Cena. No shit. This one, Thoughts and Players. Maybe they had the wrong one. They had the wrong one for Misfit, by the way. 62 followers. Just Me, Fighter for Truth and Awareness, 725 followers, and a lawsuit. Okay? Sharon's Adventures. Her stuff is privated. That's probably what you should have done a long time ago. How many? 326 followers. 14,500 followers for Lucy Brown, Just a Girl in the World, featured in Rolling Stone, NME, Vogue, Evening Standard. Okay, tout your shit. For those who weren't aware of some of our shared history, Lauren Southern put a video out a year ago explaining why our team was used to get Tommy Robinson. Okay, Tommy Robinson's a Zionist. Misfit Patriot, 53,000 followers. I think it's all fake. Uncancelable, people. He's the band champ, the far left, right are two sides of the same coin. Link to the podcast. By the way, Tower Gang, when they were going in on his show last week, looking at the numbers, he had like 50 or 20 some people, I think. And that was on Rumble. I went to his YouTube and I flashed it up a few times. I'm trying to make this point because sometimes I'm the only one that was in there watching. Usually YouTube is the higher numbers. I didn't even understand where he's getting his numbers at. We talked about that. There we go. Andrew Tate. I don't know why I think that's so funny. I remember being hyped when Cena followed me. Then I looked at yes, exactly. But you know what? I don't follow him back either. Peter Thiel or someone like that. There, all of a sudden a bunch of them were coming out following me is some weird. And I'm like, I don't think. And then you look at them later and they don't follow you. But Cena still is. I tell my kids, I'm like, I just said the other day, I was like, John Cena follows me. What the fuck do you want? And then they're like, oh, hey, and then they don't know the whole deal with that. So there you go. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, lawsuit. I think we took care of all that stuff there, and we're going to take off. So I think I'm going to try to do a show this weekend on the Con Inc. because there's a bunch of stuff. I want to talk about Jeremy Boring, Peterson, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, Steven Crowder, and some more other stuff. It's been fascinating. I didn't get to do any breakdown into the, because it all ties into like JFK stuff, right? And I don't know that it came out, okay, Pam Bondi actually came out there, so who knows about any of that. Any questions you guys want to ask me about this defamation? I don't know if it will go forward. It's going to be fascinating to watch. It's going to be interesting to see these people grovel in their issue. It'll be interesting to see if he gets them served, if this happens, how much evading of service is going to happen. But at some point, if you can't serve them, they're evading service. Then when you do finally get it happen, they get tagged with those fees as well. So you don't want to necessarily do that, people. But it will be interesting. Okay. John Cena sold his soul and broke up with all of us. Yes, true. Imagine telling a normie that John Cena is a bot online. Yeah, it's trouble. I was hoping for a Con Inc. bonus episode. JC, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Not right now. What time is it? It's 5:30 my time. It's been an hour and a half, folks. I think we've gone off without a hitch for the most part. Feel good about this. If anybody out there wants to have me talk about defamation and other stuff, I think we did a pretty good job. So, I'm going to do one. I'll try to do one this weekend, JC. I'll try to do one on Con Inc. bonus episode. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, because the way I have to do it now to make sure all the chat works, I'm not going to pre-show when it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. So, look for us this weekend. I got a bike race I got to watch this weekend. Tomorrow it's called Milano San Remo. It's fantastic. And other than that, have a good one. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. Like I said, this weekend.
Okay, I'm leaving now, bye guys.
But she's back.
And now.
Tyler, if you had any clout about you, if you had any knowledge of the real world of what happens, we walk into Tim Catt's studio, immediately there's 4 Jewish lawyers.
King of the Druids!
Oh, that's all we needed. A Jewish princess.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't expect the normies like Tyler to understand these kind of things. He's just a podunk lawyer somewhere in rural California. He's an idiot, really.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
This guy's, I wouldn't say he's full of shit, but I'd say he's stupid. Whatever, if you're in the comments, if you're in the chat now, I wouldn't pay attention to anything he says anyway. But
more or less, eat shit and die.
Don't ever come to Top Lobster. He will end you. Do you see what he just did to Tyler? Just fucking challenge this.
Tyler's done.
Top is a maniac.
He can't even reply right now because he's crippled.
He's got nothing to say.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. Why don't you argue with something I said, you dumb bastard?